live from USA, helping you get paid every day. This is the boss of Bitcoin, the Cristo of crypto. It's your boy BK, and if you don't like me, you must not like money. Thank you for joining me, everybody. Today we are doing a live Bitcoin update. BTC to the USD sitting long and strong north of 123,000. So we go look at the chart, see how high it could go. Bitcoin to 150K. What does that look like? When will it happen? And most importantly, how can you profit as a result of the greatest transformation of wealth in the history of humanity? So if this is your first time tuning in, congratulations, baby. You are now rocking with the best. My name is BK, also known as the Crypto Trader, and I'm the boss of these charts, as you will soon find out. Every day I grace this microphone with my voice is another day you get to profit as a result, and today is no exception. So if you haven't done it already, smash that like button, subscribe, turn your notifications on. We got 5 whole people watching me live stream right now. Shout out to each and every one of y'all, and let's jump into these charts and make this money. So this is BTC to the USD. This is a daily, and as you can see, this is just money on money on money. Now, one of the things I want to jump into this chart is when you look at charts like this, you can almost start to break it down. It's almost like you have to break it down into different sections, different cycles, different segments, and that really almost is predicated on the growth rate and where that next growth rate occurs at, right? In my early days, one of the enlightening notions I had was to compare the chart to a singular source of energy. So for example, when you study the psychology of macroeconomics and what happens behind this chart, you have buyers and sellers. You literally have a live dynamic marketplace. And it's intrinsic of greed, fear, resentment, anticipation, the whole nine. But at the end of the day, the market knows everything. There is nothing that exists outside this chart unbeknownst to itself. What did that mean? That means that the price doesn't care what the news is. It's already accounted for that. Somebody already accounted for that, 20,000 trades ago. Like, everything is predicated in this chart. Nothing exists outside of this chart. And when you think about that, it kind of simplifies it. It's like, okay, well, if nothing exists outside this chart, and say this is all back in 2017, like this was the end of the chart. You're looking at this back in time like I did, you know what I'm saying? November 2019, and you don't have much to go on, but one thing you do know is that we kind of hit this little cycle right here. We did a nice little sine wave. We went up, we went down, and we had another little hump come up after that, right? Well, what does that look like on this, right? We need to make it make sense. We need to make it have resonance. We need to make it tell us a story. And what I did in my early days was I found the intersections of the single moving average intersection. So I used 3 simple moving averages, and between the 3 of them, I get them to tell me a story, right? And that story often, and this is why what I told you earlier about disregarding the noise, disregarding the news, disregarding the variance, that's basically what those candles are. You might have a real excited day in the news and the market and the price jumps up, or a real, speculative, pessimistic day and the opposite happens. What I do is I turn all that noise off and I let it flow. You know what I'm saying? I introduced the flow state into this psychology, and it really takes away a lot of the guesswork. And then you tie your understanding into these intersections right there, bam, bam, right? And you start to get it to tell you what has happened, what will happen, and what is yet to be. 1 + 2 = 3. So this was the first chart, right? That was back in 2017. That's Bitcoin's first segment, right? Now, fast forward, we're all the way up here, but the practice stays the same. We take our breakout, we take our breakdown, and we're gonna go all the way back, take you back way back, right? Because this is a big macro cycle. So we're coming all the way over here. And that's crazy because that actually landed for right here. I forgot we're on like cycle number 3 now. Crazy times, right? So you do that, you get the top of this cycle right here, right? And let's fade that out some, yeah? Right? And now we come over here. We put that there. What's crazy about this is it's like it's 2 of them. See if we wanted to get to this cycle, we would have just took this one right here. And that was a quick one. Like it wasn't much to it, but it still gave you enough to get up there, right? Boom, boom. But now we're looking above that, and so we're gonna take that off, and we're gonna stretch this out to this little second part right here. And this is giving me Bitcoin 150K. Boom, boom. We're coming up on this area right here, 127, 129. What was interesting is we did have a flux around a 3.2. I used to have a 6.4 up here. That 6.4 would have hit that thing right around 164. If we want to do that, that's our macro. This is our resistance level. And I'll just start putting lines there. I couldn't get enough at that first spot, so I'm going low to low right there. Bitcoin will basically need to sell off below this line right there, which isn't going to happen anytime soon. That's 90,000, 85,000. It needs to sell off below this line to break this sequence altogether. Let's see if we could jump in here. I feel like it's something in here. Let's go down to another. We got a macro, so we know that 1.5 is a macro resistance level, 3.2 from low to low on a daily. Yeah, this one's easier. And then we could probably just see the problem with these inside charts now. When you get like all the way in here, it's just so choppy, right? But one of the things we could look at now is really right here. That's 138, and there you go. So it's hitting north of 150 on both of those. Is that right? Yeah, north of 150 on both of those. We'll put this over here. Put it at the top one. And then we should be able to get a 3.2 off of this one. Right there, that's 175. So this thing is saying BTC wants to run. It's gonna have a little turbulence here, and maybe that's you know, what the market will take as a recovery. It's gonna have a difficult time breaking through 140, but we're literally in unquote uncharted territories. And now it's like when Bitcoin breaks all-time highs, the cap comes off and the market buys it because it's one of the fastest assets, one of the fastest acting assets to accumulate wealth in our lifetime, point blank period. So it's going to have a little bit of difficulty, and it's probably going to do this inside 2 weeks, I would say. I mean, this is happening very, very, very quickly. You know, even if you look at something like this. Like, I would guess between here and here. This is what you're looking at. you say, okay, I could see Bitcoin making 13% over the next 2 months. Doesn't seem like a lot. Like Bitcoin can make 10% in a day. You know what I'm saying? 30% in 2 weeks. Like I've seen it. So 13% dollars inside the next 72 days. That's not out of the question, especially when you have, nations talking about their support for and advocating for Bitcoin. Oh, by the way, if you haven't done it, I do have the #1 Facebook group, #1 Bitcoin group in the world. That's the name of it. If you want to jump in, come on in. The doors are always open. It says this live stream is struggling a little bit, so I might cut this a little short. Apparently, I got to upgrade my internet. Not sure why. Every time I try to do a live stream now, the internet want to act up. But, hopefully you guys got some value out of this. BTC 150K looking before the end of this year. If all things sum up right. One of the opportunities I wanted to let you guys know is that when Bitcoin is running like this, you can also jump over and look at the dominance, right? Bitcoin dominance right there. Right now it's at 58%, right? Historically, when it's money to be made in the market, that number is a lot lower. And so one of the things I look at is this indicator right here. And this is the total market cap excluding Bitcoin. And what that's looked like over the past 2 weeks. This is basically the opportunity. This means it's money not only is it flowing into Bitcoin, pushing Bitcoin at all-time highs, but it's also going downstream to the rest of the coin. This is what alt season starts to look like. And now when you get Bitcoin, pulling some of that money out and then it just runs downstream, you get a compound interest effect and you can make 10x, 15x on any given coin, especially at these prices. And this is what I specialize in. This is what I help people to do is identify, some of the top coins in the world to buy to make money on the next breakout cycle. And I think this is one of them. I haven't talked about it in a while. Cardano has been suppressed. I think it's down 96%, since historic highs. Like, look at that chart. It's crazy. Can't do much better. What is that? 700, 500% Bitcoin on the upside when it runs up again. It's crazy, but that's what you do. It's like Bitcoin is designed to make you more dollars, but when you can accumulate these altcoins at low cap prices, let them run up against BTC, essentially what that means is they're accumulating more dollars per IOTA unit time than Bitcoin is. That's when you put compound interest in your favor. And that's what I help people do. So if you found any value in this, I most certainly do appreciate each and every one of you. Make sure you smash that like button. If you want to see a chart specifically, let me know what that is in the comments. If you guys are live in the chat and we can do a chart right now. I didn't want this thing to be, scratching out or but if this live stream feed is good and you guys want to see a chart, just throw one up in the chat and then we can get to that. I think when we talk about Bitcoin dominance, right here over the past 30 days, actually, let's look at all. Because like this Bitcoin is the top one, right? That 64%, bam, all the way down.